Thank you for joining us for this news conference. With me and speaking this morning are Lincoln City Council Member Tom Beckius, Lincoln Police Department Chief Michonne Morrow, and Prescott Area Neighborhood Association Board Member Mary Unger. We're also joined by Lincoln City Council Chair Sandra Washington and LPD Captain Max Hubka. Public safety is our community's and my administration's #1 priority, and that's why the city continues to invest in the partnerships and the training, equipment, and facilities to make Lincoln the safest and healthiest capital city in the country. Another important way that the City of Lincoln supports public safety is through public policy solutions that drive improved safety outcomes for our residents. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's start with the issue we are aiming to solve: dangerous driving, which includes high-speed racing, high-speed driving, and other reckless maneuvers. That compromises public safety, disturbs the peace of our community, and impacts our local businesses. So to cut down on dangerous driving and to keep our streets and our community members safe, our team at LPD is committed to enforcing existing traffic laws. However, by making some changes to city code, we believe there's even more LPD could do. So we're here to unveil a new policy proposal developed in response to resident concerns about dangerous driving. The Lincoln City Council will hold a public hearing on this policy proposal on Monday, March 24th. I fully support this proposal because it gives our police officers a greater ability to hold reckless drivers accountable and keep them and their vehicles off the road. And that means safer streets, safer neighborhoods, and a better quality of life for everyone in our community. And I appreciate our city council members, the Lincoln Police Department, and the other city team members who developed these policy changes to make our streets and communities safer. Councilmember Tom Beckius has been a strong proponent of this proposal, and at this time, I'd like to invite him up to share a few more details about these proposed changes. Councilman Beckius?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm proud to be here today as part of the city team working to make Lincoln an even safer and healthier place for all of us. As a council member, I regularly receive complaints from residents relating to dangerous driving along O Street and other high traffic areas. Specific issues include high-speed driving, racing, engine revving, tire squealing, and other reckless maneuvers. Our data shows that since 2020, dangerous driving activities have contributed to more than 700 nighttime crashes, over 800 injury crashes, and 6 fatalities on O Street alone. Dangerous driving causes not only physical harm, but also secondary issues like noise disturbances, trespassing, vandalism, threats, and assaults. It's clear to me that we must provide our law enforcement professionals at LPD more ways to address these threats to public safety. Here are the ways this proposal would do so. These proposals clarify the Lincoln Municipal Code so dangerous driving activities are clearly understood, prohibited, and more enforceable. They update the definition for racing to be more comprehensive, easier to understand, and specify locations where racing is prohibited. They update the definition for racetrack to prohibit their operation unless specifically approved as a special permitted use in specific zoning. A new section that defines disorderly vehicles as any motor vehicle in violation of the ordinances of the city is also included. A new section that allows officers to impound the vehicles of drivers cited for specific dangerous driving violations, like racing, reckless or willful reckless driving, or fleeing to avoid arrest. I would note that, similar to issuing the citation itself, police officers would have discretion on impounding a vehicle depending on the specific circumstances. The new vehicle impoundment penalty would be administered as follows. A first offense would result in the vehicle towed to the impound lot, where it could be immediately released to the registered owner of the vehicle, following payment of the tow and impound fees, which is approximately $115. A second offense would result in the vehicle being towed to the impound lot and released to the registered owner after 10 days, and the payment of tow, administrative, and storage fees. This ordinance will help convey a clear message that Lincoln's roadways are not to be used for dangerous driving activities. Public safety continues to be the number one job for us as city leaders. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Beckius, and to the rest of the City Council for calling for and championing these policy changes. Now, here to share what these proposed changes will mean to our public safety professionals is Lincoln Police Chief Michonne Morrow. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning. The Lincoln Police Department appreciates the chance to expand the ways in which our officers maintain public safety. As others have said, dangerous driving impacts lives, property, and the peace of our community. We have taken a number of previous measures to reduce dangerous driving along O Street, whether that be additional enforcement, the use of technological tools, and the assistance of the Nebraska State Patrol Air Support Unit that we've previously spoken about. While we have seen positive impact from these enforcement measures, unfortunately, too many violations continue. That's why we truly appreciate the Council's consideration of the proposed ordinance to help us reduce dangerous driving. We think the code change provides us better tools to address these important traffic safety issues. And I want to again say thank you to the mayor and City Council and LPD and those that helped champion this, that being Captain Max Hubka and Lieutenant Dustin Romshek, and the rest of the city team who have worked to bring this policy solution forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Captain Hubka, and thank you to Lieutenant Romshek. To keep our communities safe and healthy, our team at LPD works together with community organizations like the Prescott Area Neighborhood Association. And at this time, I'd like to invite Prescott Area Neighborhood Association board member Mary Unger to come and share with us what this proposal means to her and her neighbors. Mary?
Thank you, Mayor. Safe and thriving neighborhoods are one of the key reasons that Lincoln is such a wonderful place to live. Dangerous driving is not only disturbs the lives of neighborhood residents, but it threatens the health and safety of everyone who lives, visits, attends school, or church in the neighborhood. Cars racing through our streets and through neighborhoods create a dangerous situation that must be addressed. In the Prescott neighborhood near 40th Street and Prescott Avenue, our neighborhood has worked with Lincoln Police on safety issues to help protect drivers, bicyclists, and pedestrians. LPD does a wonderful job supporting our community, and these new changes will give them more ways to do an even better job. I want to thank the Mayor, Councilmember Beckius, and the City Council, and everyone at LPD and the rest of the city team who continue to look for new and innovative ways to keep the quality of life high in our great Lincoln neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. This new policy proposal is designed to improve safety and quality of life for you and your neighbors and everyone in Lincoln. And I'm really optimistic that by giving our police another tool and a method to curb dangerous driving, we advance our goal to become the safest and healthiest capital city in America. With that, we would be happy to take any questions from the media.
Is this a new ordinance, or did you revise an existing ordinance?
This is a new ordinance that amends city code.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the offense then is dangerous driving? Like you get ticketed for dangerous driving? Do you get ticketed for racing? Or I'm a little unclear how this is going to help you, I guess. Sure.
Sure, absolutely. And I would like to bring up Captain Max Hubka because he really was a champion on this effort in bringing this city policy forward. So I would like to provide him the opportunity to be able to share some of that insight and give you a little bit more detail into the policy or the new code change and the implementation. So, Max.
Thank you. So the way that it will be implemented, there are specific violations such as racing, reckless or willful reckless driving, fleeing to avoid arrest, and a very limited specific set of ordinances that upon citation for those violations, the vehicle would also be deemed as a disorderly vehicle. So as a violation of our new disorderly vehicle ordinance, that's where the impound would come into play.
Like playing really loud music, or?
No, it would be racing, exhibition of speed or acceleration, reckless driving, willful reckless driving, and fleeing to avoid arrest, I think are the violations that we're looking at right now that would qualify for that next level of disorderly vehicle, if that makes sense.
And so then if it's a disorderly vehicle, it faces the increased penalties, is that?
Yes, correct.
So it's it's the increased penalties that
So the
are,
disorderly vehicle is a new separate ordinance, and that's what would cause it to be applied, is violation of those other ordinances that I listed, if that makes sense. So then.
and the disorderly vehicle then is what is subject to impoundment.
Correct. Yep, exactly. And so there's obviously going to be an educational component to this. We've already got considerations in place if and when the ordinances are passed by the city council, and then we will be training our officers as well as the citizens to make sure that everyone has a good understanding of the new ordinances.
Is it designed primarily for racing on O Street on the weekends?
So as the Northeast team captain, far and away, the biggest complaints that I hear when I talk with citizens is vehicle racing, dangerous driving, vehicle noise, and the associated disturbances. I think the city council members hear the same types of complaints, and we want to be responsive to what the community is asking. So we wanted to address that. So I would say O Street is maybe the catalyst that kind of brought about these possible solutions, but they're going to be applicable to all areas of the city. So we know that there's complaints on other team areas, other areas within the Northeast team as well, and the ordinances will be applied and utilized in all areas of the city.
Will you increase enforcement along with this, or?
We already have a pretty high level of enforcement. We have grant funding. You may have seen we recently released information about additional funding for traffic enforcement on the Northeast team. That will all be continuing. So we have overtime funding from grants that we're utilizing to have high levels of enforcement, and we've done that for years, and we'll continue doing that along with this new tool that hopefully will empower our officers to have a little bit more enforcement abilities.
Well, do you think that I think one of the related problems to O Street is people gathering in the parking lots. Will this allow you to address that issue, or?
Okay if I answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a consideration. Memorial Weekend is an example where that happens pretty frequently. We have had a plan in place the last few years to address those crowds gathering and to make sure that they are not in violation of other ordinances such as trespassing or occupying a business lot after hours. That really has been well handled these last few years and has not been the big issue that it was in previous years. So I don't know that this ordinance necessarily will directly apply there, but it's something that we will keep an eye on.
My last question is, I think I'm not sure what the status of this grant is, but there was a Safe Streets grant that you got. Is this related at all to that work?
The Safe Streets for All grant came from the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the initial allocation we received was to do planning. So I would say that the relationship really is the overarching mission, is that we want to reduce fatalities and injuries on our streets, and that Safe Streets for All was meant to look at not only new policies, but engineering fixes or solutions that LTU could help us implement on our roadways, to consider different kinds of crosswalks and beacons, et cetera. So that was a very comprehensive, big picture look at street safety. And this really has been driven by community members. Our council has heard loud and clear and have been calling for new enforcement opportunities. LPD, same thing. And so they have shaped the direction of this proposal to be really targeted for these reckless behaviors that are such concern to our community members. Yes, Anthony.
So reckless driving and the things you were talking about earlier, they're already on the books as things you can get cited for. Why make this ordinance if those are already things people could get cited and ticketed for?
I think the hope is that by having a little bit stronger repercussions with the vehicle impoundment, that'll be a bigger deterrent from people performing those types of dangerous activities and behaviors on the streets. Lincoln roads are not meant to be racetracks, and unfortunately we have too many people where they feel like they can utilize them for that purpose. So by having the ability to tow and impound, we're hoping that's a major deterrent that helps to stop that behavior.
When somebody gets cited for reckless driving and now this new ordinance gets kind of invoked and the vehicle gets impounded, are you arresting the individual as well, or are you kind of telling them that they got to find another ride?
So the new ordinances as proposed will be misdemeanors. So potentially there is the ability for the officer to cite and lodge the person in jail. In most instances, officers are just going to cite and release them with the citation. The vehicle, again, as these ordinances are proposed, the vehicle on the first violation would be impounded and available to be released immediately. On the second or subsequent offense, it would be impounded for 10 days. So the first offense, you're essentially getting a warning where we're saying your vehicle is off of the road for the time being, and we're hoping that that sends the message that you need to stop these dangerous behaviors.
And when it gets to the impound, are we still talking about the fees associated with that? The per day fees as it's stored there?
Yes, sir.
All told, what if you get to your second offense, do you know what that cost would look like to somebody who is doing these things?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Those are fees that are assessed by the towing company that we've contracted with as a city.
How much are the fines for these, when you cite them for these things?
Well, they're misdemeanors, so the maximum fine is I would assume, somewhere in the vicinity of $500.
So would you be fined as well as having your vehicle towed? The impoundment is in addition to whatever fine you're assessed for the offense, right? So they're just there. Like, they have to find another ride home if the car's towed, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for those questions. Thank you for joining us for this news conference and learning more about this proposed policy change that's aimed at reducing reckless driving and making sure that we keep our public safe. Thank you.